It's a family, a beautiful night here, relaxing, watching some TV. If you watch my videos early in the year, you know I said that 2024 is going to be a very, very bad year. But I didn't expect it to be this bad when it comes to hurricanes. I know it's going to be bad economically. Economically, it's going to be bad, but the economic system and the politics and what should I say about the food prices, etc., are going to be very, very bad. But for hurricanes, I wasn't really thinking anything about hurricanes, but the clip I'm going to play can show you that 2024 going to be very bad with hurricanes. And this gets the beginning. It gets started here in July with Beryl, the first hurricane, and got about 25 more hurricanes coming up. But folks, prepare yourself because they're going to get real, real bad. Hang on, here's the clip on some more hurricanes like somebody coming up. Take note, prepare yourself, give thanks and praises, and buckle up. It's going to get real bad, folks. Hang in here.
Well, above maybe 7 major hurricanes, that's category 3 or above. The average is 3. We had 1 already. And the drivers are, as you know, the warmer water, which is everywhere, but certainly in the hurricane paths, and La Nina, which is the pendulum swing, almost the opposite of El Nino. It just adds more impetus, so the conditions are right for a very nasty season, and you've seen how it started.
All right, let's take this on. We can bring in our guest now in Orlando, in Florida. It's Daniel Guilford. He's a meteorologist and atmospheric scientist who focuses on how climate change affects hurricanes, heat, and local communities. Rhea Marie Pierre is in Bridgetown in Barbados, which has just been battered indeed by Hurricane Beryl. And she's the Caribbean delegation spokesperson for the International Federation of the Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies and takes the technical lead on evolving crises and disasters. And Yeb Sanyo is in Manila. He's the Southeast Asia Executive Director of Greenpeace and a former climate negotiator for the Philippines government. A warm welcome to all of you. Let's go straight to the region first of all. Rhea Marie Pierre, you are deploying Red Cross personnel to get in and try and help with this catastrophic situation. What are your eyewitnesses saying about the severity of this hurricane?
So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all your viewers. I am based here in Barbados, in Bridgetown, and I weathered the storm with the Barbadian population on Sunday into Monday morning. Here in Bridgetown, in Barbados, the devastation on the south coast, in particular, was immense. I mean, over 200 fishing vessels have been destroyed, over 20 boats sank. There was major damage to the port of Bridgetown, and then we also had damage to the fisheries industry. But even that synopsis pales in comparison to what we're seeing in Grenada. We have Red Cross staff and volunteers stationed in Grenada. And I mean, to live through that, the devastation is immense. As you saw earlier on in the program, Carriacou has been completely emaciated. 98% of an island is gone. The communications on Carriacou are still down. People are still trying to make contact with their friends and their families. Every building has not gone untouched. I mean, that's just 2. We have 8 countries that are in the path of Beryl. I mean, it's amazing to think about the destruction and the devastation in Union Island and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The communications are still down. The airport has been lost. Schools, churches, the main hospital, all destroyed. And it's keeping going. As we speak, Hurricane Beryl will be impacting Jamaica.
And the point is, Rhea, what we must absolutely emphasize here is that just how early this has come in the season, in what is predicted to be a very severe hurricane season.
I mean, it's July. The main part of the hurricane season, typically in the Caribbean, is around September into November and maybe the beginning of October. That's quite a ways away. We have more barrels to look forward to if we really take a look at the forecast. And we have to think about what these constant impacts on the region are having. It's the first storm of the season, and it has gone through 8 countries, projected to go through 8 countries so far. Is this really what we need to expect for the next few months in the region?
Okay, well, let's ask that question now to Daniel Guilford. Daniel, you grew up on the Florida coast, I understand, not so far from the Caribbean. You grew up observing big storms barreling in. As a climate scientist now, you also have deep knowledge of the climate systems. And now we have, as Ria was just saying, the earliest Category 5 hurricane ever. How surprised are you at this, and how concerned are you for the season ahead?
Yeah, well, hurricanes are kind of like giant heat engines. They take energy from the ocean's surface, kind of like what Rob mentioned earlier, and they take it as fuel, convert it into wind speed. And so what we're seeing out there in the Atlantic right now are very warm sea surface temperatures, unseasonably warm. As you mentioned earlier, these conditions are kind of like what you would expect in September. And so this hurricane Beryl that is moving through is really seeing conditions that are unlike anything we've ever seen before. This unprecedented toll on the storm is having unprecedented impacts. And we are quite concerned. You know, it is only just July and we're seeing September-like impacts. So what does this mean for the rest of the season? Certainly the sea surface temperatures out there are remaining warm as long as African waves, these sort of disturbances in the atmosphere keep rolling off the African coast. We're going to have those warm waters, and there's plenty of fuel available for these storms to sort of develop and then begin to grow. So we are certainly concerned that, in line with many of the predictions out of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and other groups that have made predictions about the season, that it will be an extremely active one, and that this is probably not the end of the 2024 hurricane season. It's actually just the beginning. So we are concerned about what these impacts are, and we just are very cognizant that if you're along one of the coastlines in the Caribbean or the Gulf or even the eastern seaboard of the United States, this is going to be a time where you need to pay careful attention to what's happening in the tropics.
Daniel, just take this on a little bit further. You say that the warming ocean is a driver of these hurricanes. Why is it that warmer ocean temperatures fuel hurricanes and big storms and cyclones?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. So a hurricane is almost like the engine in your car. As you push down the accelerator, fuel comes into your engine and starts to make it turn and speed up. And a hurricane is very similar. It needs some sort of fuel source, and on our planet, that fuel source is the warm ocean temperatures. We're seeing warm ocean temperatures that are quite a bit warmer than we would have seen this time of year in past years. Something like 2 degrees Celsius warmer, and this can have big impacts on these hurricanes because you add more fuel to them, it can spin faster and faster. They have that opportunity to grow into the real monsters like the Hurricane Beryl that we're seeing right now. And so that fuel source is sticking.
Of the series of devastating storms that we've seen for the past many years. And certainly the one that hit my hometown in Tacloban City, Super Typhoon Haiyan in 2013, and Super Typhoon Rai just 3 years ago, which indicates for us, most of these typhoons have become more destructive and carrying so much intensity. And it aligns with what the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is saying around the more frequency of Category 3 to 5 tropical storms. And that's very worrying, and I can only imagine the suffering that's happening in the Caribbean right now. I've seen it with my own eyes here where we live, and I can only really sympathize and pray for the best for those who are still struggling to pick up the pieces and racing against time to save lives and homes.
Ria, what are the global discussions around climate change in relation to hurricanes like this? Are the voices of those countries, like those in the Caribbean and indeed in the Philippines and the Pacific, are those countries in the crosshairs of climate crises like these, are those voices being heard?
I think situations like this force Caribbean voices to be heard. How many more barrels are we going to have to live through? We have gone through Hurricane Maria and Irma in 2017. We had Hurricane Dorian in 2019. And now we're here again with Hurricane Beryl as the strongest hurricane to hit the region in 20 years, this early on. It forces the conversation. We are at the forefront of the climate crisis. We're no longer at the cusp of the climate crisis. We are living it, breathing it, experiencing it every single day. Our lives, our livelihoods are being impacted. I mean, how do we quantify some of the damage that we've seen? How do we quantify 98% of an island being destroyed. And it's not only one, it's more than one. We've seen it in Carriacou, we're seeing it in St. Vincent, the impacts in Barbados, in St. Lucia,
No, in
in
Jamaica.
Jamaica, in Dominica, in Trinidad and Tobago. The
St.
list
Vincent
goes on.
Grenadines.
How long does the list have to grow before we take action and before we really start to listen to the voices of people who are at the forefront of this climate crisis? We need to have more spaces for our voices to be amplified and our voices to be heard, because how long are we expected to suffer the consequences of the climate crisis when we only contribute less than 10% to global carbon emissions?
Yeah, over to you. What are your thoughts?
So one of
What does it mean for these weather events that are already reaching extremes?
Yeah, the climate system is going to respond in turn, right? More fossil fuels will mean that the temperature of the planet will continue to rise. And as the temperature of the planet rises, these impacts like we're seeing extreme heat, hurricanes like Hurricane Beryl, which is being impacted already right now by climate change, will continue to be impacted. Climate change is here right now. It is impacting us in real ways. Real lives are being affected by.
Okay, to the best of my limited knowledge that I have about the climate change and about the global warming, the earth is going through a change for the betterment of the people, not for the scientists or the government, for the betterment of the people who call the earth. It's a living thing and it's going through a climate change for us to live in peace and love and harmony. But them suckers don't want that. They try to destroy the planet by polluting the planet and doing a lot of stuff with the planet, but the planet is going through a change because before the planet is a living thing. So I know that the planet is going through a change and they're feeling the catastrophic effects of it. They're trying to say the scientists say that. No. The earth is going through a change for the betterment. So folks, it's going to get better. It's hanging there. Until then, peace out. Much love.